and then go into the other elements. There's the other elements is there's these archetypal stages of human change and growth that people go through when we try to accomplish any goal, right? And you can look up the stages of change. You start typically in pre-contemplation. So in pre-contemplation, you don't even have any idea that there is a problem to be changed, or you're in unconscious paradise, to put it in a Petersonian way. He talks a lot about that in Maps of Meaning. So in pre-contemplation, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say you had a drinking problem or a relationship issue. We'll stick with a drinking problem just to keep it simple. That's in pre-contemplation. Other people might know you have a problem, but you have no conception that you have a problem whatsoever. It's just not even in the forefront of your mind, right? You're not aware of it at all, okay? So you're in the Garden of Eden. You're in unconscious paradise. You wouldn't even know that. You don't know any better, right? Now, contemplation is where things start to get painful, because when you're in contemplation, you're aware that a problem exists. It's like, okay, I know that drinking, there seems to be like a problem with my drinking, but I don't know. Let's just see if it goes away. There's no real commitment to action, like it says right there. I actually feel like we should use a different example than drinking, because it's almost too extreme. I'll come up with a different example. Okay, let's just say let's say video games. You play video games all the time. Then you realize all of a sudden one day, oh shit, maybe I play a little too many video games. I feel like I'm not doing other things that I want to do. Like, I really would like to read my book or go to the gym, but I just don't feel like I'm doing that. I feel like there's a problem here. But you don't have any sort of commitment to action. You're kind of just sitting with the problem. You're just letting it fester. And then preparation is, okay, I'm ready to change. As they say in the 12-step programs, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of this problem. So then you get into preparing to change it. Maybe it's time to take action on this baby. And then you make a plan, right? So you go into, what am I going to do? Then you modify your behavior through a set of actions. And this is where you're actually really changing the neural pathways in your brain. You're creating a new way of being. And that takes repetitive and consistent practice on a daily basis. You have to really stick with that intention. It's a lot of effort is involved. Then you go into maintenance, where there's less effort involved, and the new pattern has become an automatic normative behavior in your psyche. So there is an established pathway of least resistance that is taking you towards the desired place that you want to be in. And that is your maintenance stage. Then you go into relapse. So a lot of people think relapse is a failure, okay? And that's a mistake, because as one of my favorite teachers always likes to tell me, the only failure is the failure to learn. So relapse, instead of looking at it as something that's outside of the paradigm of transformation, we actually, in this stages of change model, put relapse as a part of it purposefully. Like, it's something that we want to be there, right? And that's not to say that we want people or ourselves to go out and fail, but we know better. And we're not naive enough to think that there's not going to be slip-ups, whether it's a slip-up in thinking, a slip-up in your mood, a slip-up in your behavior, where you actually act out an old behavior. That would be like an alcoholic goes and takes a drink, or you have a slip-up in your relationship with your partner. All these things are relapses. But if you learn from the relapse and you don't get into a shameful cycle of judgment where you just beat yourself up, and then because you're unworthy, then what's the point of doing anything anyways, right? Like, that's the self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm a piece of shit. Well, guess what? Pieces of shit don't transform. So if that's your starting point, you're screwed. You know what I mean? And when I say pieces of shit don't transform, you could actually twist that on me and look at it and say, well, actually, manure composts into the earth and then grows flowers, and I get all that. But my point is that the starting point is to eradicate the shame and just look at the relapse from an objective perspective of, okay, what can I learn from this? Then you go back into the stages and hopefully go right back to contemplation. You skip pre-contemplation. Instead of going back into the unconscious paradise, you go straight to contemplation and you start to, what did I learn from this behavior? So I'll give you an example just to really firm these up. And I'm going to go ahead and read these comments in just in a minute. So just give me 1 minute here. So when you relapse, let's say anger. Okay, so anger is something, when I was 17 years old, anger is something that I struggled with enormously. 16, 17. Before that, I had a huge problem with anger, but I was in pre-contemplation. Everybody else knew Ryan's a real hothead, but I didn't really see it as a problem. Okay. Then my anger started becoming really toxic and volatile, and I started breaking down. I couldn't hold it anymore. And so I went into contemplation and realized, oh shit, I got a real problem with anger. Like, I'm making myself sick and I'm hurting people around me. I'm snapping. I'm yelling. I'm losing my temper too often. I'm driving people away from me with my anger. So then I was in contemplation, still just watching myself get angry, just watching the rage fester. And then eventually I decided, okay, I need to start figuring out what I'm going to do. So I start in that process, I start going into preparation. How am I going to address this? So I started reading books on anger. Okay. I started, how might I, and this is an investigative stage, preparation. How am I going to deal with this problem? Okay. A lot of you know what that stage is. How am I going to, so if you see you have a problem, right? You're in the contemplative process, then you move into preparation. You're trying to figure out, what the hell am I going to do? You're looking at maps, you're looking at books, you're looking up YouTube videos, you're looking up all the resources, you're asking people questions. How did you deal with your anger? You're really digging, you're investigating. This is really important. You got to take your time in this process. Then eventually something will click. So I read books on anger, I did my investigative research. Then I started taking action. I started meditating. Every time I got angry, I went into my meditation practice. I read Thich Nhat Hanh's book on anger. So I started, really treating my anger with a sense of mindfulness and care. And when I wanted to snap at someone, I would stop myself. I would take care of my anger, and it would go away. And I was like, oh my God, I can handle this situation without being so angry. So I started practicing. It took tons of effort, right? Because when that surge of anger, that's a really strong neural pathway that wants to go down the path that it's been going down. But you have to redirect it. So it takes focus, energy, intention, and you got to stick with it. And so eventually, after I practiced that for weeks, I went into maintenance. Now, not getting angry is just kind of a part of my day. I don't have to think about it all the time. It's become a new automatic pathway. Right, exactly. So unconscious automatic pathways work in both directions. They work in our favor for things we want, habits we want, and they work against us for habits we don't want. Automatic behavior is a part of being human. We always are in automatic behaviors. It's just in deciding and taking conscious controls of which behaviors we want to be automatic. So anyways, you go into maintenance, and then relapse naturally happens. Do you think I never got angry again? Do you think I never lost my temper again? Of course not. We're not naive enough to assume that, right? We know that I'm going to fuck up. So I'll lose my temper. Like maybe I snap at someone, or maybe the surge of anger comes up one day and it's so strong I can't avoid it. So there's two paths there at that point. You can go back into unconscious paradise and just live out that cycle of anger for months and months and months until you realize it's a problem again. Or you can go straight to contemplation. What I did was, when I relapsed in anger, I said to myself, okay, I can feel the shame, and the shame wants me to go back into beating myself into the ground and into unconscious paradise and self-fulfilling prophecy of worthlessness, and just continuing to prove that to myself by being a dick, and then everyone else will call me a dick, and then I'll feel like more of a dick. But no, I didn't do that. I said, what do I learn? What happened? Really being specific. What happened in this situation that I need to learn from. How did I let it get to this point of boiling up? What did I miss? I inquire, I extract the information, I go back into contemplation with that inquiry, I take it into preparation, and now I have new information to move forward with. So I'm now more equipped, and I'm actually stronger than I've ever been because of the mistake, because of the relapse. So that's why I tell people relapse isn't a failure. The only failure is the failure to learn from the relapse. Actually, relapse is a learning opportunity if we choose to make it so. And then maybe we won't have to make that mistake again. So I'm going to get to your comments now. Thank you all for letting me go on that tangent. And let's see. Bruce says, damn, you've got an addiction to science.